Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Looks like it's starting to get hot again. We had a few relatively cool days. Welcome to the August 18th Economic Development Authority meeting. I think we have a rather fluid agenda today. We're going to try to stay on task. There is a retail roundtable that occurs shortly after our meeting. So we want to make sure that they have an opportunity to get the room ready for that meeting. Given that, why don't we do the roll call?
Good morning, and thank you, Chair. Mr. Mitchell.
Here. Yes, here.
Mr. Barber.
Here.
Mrs. Saunders Smith. Mr. Brown is absent. Mr. Harmon. Here. Mrs. Cherry is absent.
Anthony is here.
And Ms. Brown is here.
Holiness.
Mr. Brown, we're just calling roll, so I'll call your name, Mr. Brown. Here. Right. Chair, we do have a quorum.
I trust that everyone had an opportunity to read the July 21 meeting minutes. If there are no changes or revisions. Recommend adoption for approval.
Second.
Second, is there any discussion on the item? Hearing none. Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Barber.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yeah.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Hearing is absent. Mr. Harmon.
Yes.
Item is approved by a vote of 5-0.
Okay, up next, we're going to have a presentation on the Old Town Portsmouth retail market snapshot, something that we've been trying to get a understanding of what the retail capacity is in Portsmouth. Also, we are going to make a recommendation at some point, probably the next meeting, that they also take a look at retail capacity and other opportunities in the Link District. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the meeting. And in more detail at the September meeting.
Thank you, Chair. And we do have a guest today, and that is Trip Muldrew with Arnett Muldrew. They're a consulting firm specializing in economic development and analysis. So we have Trip joining us virtually this morning to present on the Portsmouth retail market snapshot. And I believe we've got both Trip and the presentation running. So Trip, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to join you. I'm up the road in Harrisburg, PA today, doing a speech this evening. Let me see if I can get my screen shared here, and we can get underway. Let's see. Can you all see my full screen?
Okay.
Yes.
Not full size. I think we're having a little bit of trouble
Okay.
making out the full presentation.
Mr. Donahue, do you have it up on your side?
I believe we have the ability to pull it up. I believe we've got a, in our presentation, I believe it's loaded.
Great. It'll probably be better. There we go. Sorry about that, y'all. While he's working on getting that up, I'll give you a little bit of background. This project came about as a result of work with Retail Alliance. I've been doing retail market studies for most of my career, particularly for downtowns. This was a retail market snapshot, and we did these for different communities in the Hampton Roads area, including Portsmouth. We go to the next slide. Hopefully that'll work for y'all. There we go. So what we wanted to do whenever we're doing trade area analysis and retail market studies, we have to understand where the trade area is. Then we can look at the demographics, the retail leakage overall, and key categories supportable. On the next slide, part of what, please. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. We're just trying to get the volume up a little bit.
Oh,
But
okay.
just, feel free to continue.
Okay, so on the next slide, we what we grapple with whenever we're trying to define a trade area is getting that exactly right. A lot of times I use drive time analysis, but with the help of staff, both at the partnership and with economic development, we kind of went through this Goldilocks assessment. You know, if we do a 5-minute drive time, and I think this is important to note of the downtown or the old town area, you're looking at about $196 million in sales, about 12,000 in population. But that area is just too small. And then one of the things that the community or the staff pointed out over and over was that the tunnel effect creates a little bit of a divide with Norfolk. And of course, your trade area is way bigger for the old town area than the one we're showing. So on the next slide, we kind of went in the other direction, went to a 15-minute drive time, and you can see the problem that we run into here. Sales per capita goes up a little bit. I think that's really fascinating, knowing that we're pulling in downtown Norfolk and a big chunk of Ghent and some of that other retail area at Norfolk. At the end of the day, it's just too big. So, I mean, the first one's kind of too small. This one's big, but it helps to give us some overview of what the community looks like. On the next slide is kind of what we ended up doing with a custom draw. What we decided to do was to go a little bit further out towards Suffolk, really do a hard line, not get any of Norfolk in here. And we dropped the pin for this at 421 High Street to give you an idea of just where it was. And this we felt like was comfortable. There's what I say when we do market analysis, and I think this is important. Y'all are really good at what y'all do on your end, is that any of us who do this kind of work, it's about 80% numbers and about 20% voodoo in order to get it right. So just keep that in mind. On the next slide, what we wanted to do is look at the population of that trade area. So it won't look like the population of Portsmouth because we're getting different jurisdictions. One of the things I love about what's happening in Hampton Roads right now, and you all are really showing this in this trade area, is that it's a growing trade area. It's projected to grow by 3.36% between 2025 and 2030. You're the fastest growing. We did these in Hampton, Norfolk, Newport News, and here. Y'all were the fastest growing when we looked at this population. And so it's a really good number to see. We always want more humans in our trade areas. So this is good to see. Next slide.
Just a quick question. Do you want us to ask you questions at the end of the presentation or when the slides come up?
Feel free. Interrupt me. Yes.
I have two questions. The first question is, how did you determine the dollars? Is that based on sales receipts from the city, or what was the criteria to determine the dollar revenue?
Great question. The source that I work with is Claritas. It's a national firm. They're headquartered in Northern Virginia, and they give us retail sales data and consumer expenditure data. It's rooted in the census, but Claritas as a firm is the only one left standing. It used to be Esri and Claritas to do this retail sales analysis. I will say, you know, being a national firm, I mean, they're really good at what they do. I trust their numbers. It matches what I see on the ground, and I've been using them for 25 years. But that being said, you know, city data is always worthwhile if we have it, but it's what I've found over and over again, it's hard to gather it within a specific area, particularly when the trade area extends outside of the city itself. So I'm using this Claritas data. Great question. Thank you.
Hey, Tripp, this is Neil Barber. I had a question about your population figures. The Weldon Cooper Center just issued their population estimates and projections, and Portsmouth was the estimates for 2024 was a decline in population as well as a projected decline in population over the next couple of decades. And
Yeah.
but your numbers reflect a growth.
Yes, just keep in mind that I'm going outside of the city limits into Suffolk and other areas which are experiencing growth. And so when we define the trade, and this is the same Neil Barber I've known for years.
Yes, it's same one. Yep.
Well,
Good
good to see you, Neil.
good to see you, Trip.
So yeah, this is outside. So Suffolk's really accounting for some of that growth. I showed a lot more steady in the city, in the core area. But keep in mind, those projections are interesting because I'm still seeing a flatlining of it. So I'd love to look at that deeper too, Neil. Great question. All right, I'll keep going, and y'all feel free to keep interrupting. So from a demographic standpoint, your median age is about 37, a little bit younger than the state. About 28% of the population. I say the trade area is 28% of the population is 25 to 44. In the trade area, we're looking at a almost even split between African American population and white population. 45% black, 39% white. And we showed that it's a pretty diverse population. So the next slide is where the rubber starts kind of meet the road when we look at some of the household incomes. I love seeing this. This trade area has a median household income of about $75,000. In the metro area, we're showing about $80,000 and $92,000 for the state of Virginia. And y'all know Northern Virginia has this kind of skewing effect. And so we do have kind of a mixture of household. About 16% have incomes under 25,000, and over a third have household incomes of 100,000 or more. On the next slide. So this is where I start looking at the retail leakage. Again, I'm using Claritas for these numbers. That custom trade area that we drew is a $4.6 billion market. I love this. That trade area that we drew accounts for about 12% of the retail trade in the entire metropolitan area. Consumers, if they're spending more in a trade area than the market is selling, you're leaking. That means that the consumers are having to go somewhere else. And we look at that leaking not as a negative, but as an opportunity. And so what we saw here is that the sales are 4.6 million, 4.57. Consumers are spending almost $5 billion. So there's a delta of $428 million. This is big, big numbers. And you can see, how this relates, and kind of looking at the Virginia Beach Metro. This was surprising too. In a metro, you would kind of expect market equilibrium and not leakage. But part of my hypothesis whenever I see this is that you've got rural areas, coming in as well. But this is the overall. The next slides are kind of getting into the meat and potatoes of what's supportable in the Old Town area. The first one is home furnishings, 21 million in leakage. And home furnishings is different than furniture. I always joke, furniture, is what you put in the room, and then home furnishings is what you put on furniture. And so I try and be very, very conservative. We're not looking at furniture because it just doesn't suit an old town or a downtown setting. At a 20% capture rate, that's about $4.2 million supportable. We're sacrificing the other 80% to other areas. And the square footage supportable on this, based on industry standards for independent stores, I don't run them for nationals when I'm working on a downtown. It's about 14.2 thousand square feet. Is there a question? So this is a first one. This is a good one. The next one.
I just have one question on that. On the home furnishing, as we begin to build more apartments, permanent residential in Portsmouth area, which we're in the midst of, would one expect that number, that leakage to be reduced to some extent as a result of housing increase?
Great question. Yes, it would. The leakage would increase. And so what I love about this and why I'm bullish, and in reviewing the plan that you all are working on, I saw the amount of residential, that's kind of scheduled and slated. And so, yes, the leakage would increase, which means the potential would also increase. And what I like about what we did for you all is that this is bigger than I saw in Hampton, Newport News, and Norfolk. Just so you know, not combined, but it was interesting for me to be able to see different communities as I was doing this. So yours was the strongest. And again, I'm a glass half full guy. So when I see leakage increasing, I just see opportunity. So next slide is the specialty food and beverage. I love this category. Grocery stores is what we always kind of want in a downtown district. I think it could come over time. But when you're looking at, I couldn't make it work. I mean, I'm not trying to cook the numbers, but specialty food and beverage stores are different than mainline grocery stores. They're at about market equilibrium for Portsmouth, but the specialty food is leaking about 15.4 million. Again, a conservative 20% capture rate. I'm not looking at a giant store, but about a 7,700 square foot store could be supportable now. Again, conservative estimates. And you see here another $2 million in demand growth by 2030. And keep in mind, you all, when I'm running Claritas numbers, it is blind to the building permit and the zoning and the pipeline projects that you have. And so this could be even higher based on that. So if y'all, whenever I'm doing these kind of projects, this was kind of a snapshot. So I can dig deeper into that kind of projection if you have the building permit and pipeline projects. Next slide.
Just one more question. When you look at stores and that square footage, are we talking of a national brand? Are we talking like a Trader Joe, or do you see this as more homegrown type stores?
Yeah, I'm running.
That gap?
Fantastic question. You're reading my mind today. I run my numbers for an independent store as much as Trader Joe's is, as y'all know, it's an anomaly. Its sales per square foot is astronomical. Anyone who's been stuck in a Trader Joe's parking lot knows exactly what I'm talking about. And so this was more of a locally homegrown one. And when I look at 7,720 square feet at 20% capture, that is below the threshold of a Trader Joe's. But I can finesse that. We can look at it and I can increase those numbers. But I think it's and I can increase our capture rate. I just don't think I can get us over that Trader Joe's hump. I'm super nerdy about this, but I want to be realistic. Thanks for the question. Okay, next slide. So clothing and clothing accessory, I need to be careful about this one. It's a big number, but I got to tell you, this is where the bricks and mortar problem is hitting our retail probably more than others. Is that you can order anything offline, but clothing has been the one that the bricks and mortars are suffering. I only did a 5% capture rate. That's a lot still for small kind of boutique clothing. It's not that mainline, chain kind of store, but this is just I put it in here because there is leakage, this big, huge leakage. I just don't see it as something that we want to be careful about. And keep in mind, across the tolls over on the other side, there is the outlet mall, and things start to course correct when we get into the Norfolk area because of the outlet mall. It just is a feature of them. Next slide. So this one's sporting goods, which is a fascinating one. You all had the biggest leakage of the communities I looked at in sporting goods, 30.7 million. That's a big store. And 20,000 square feet is kind of gigantic. And so it could probably be more of a 2 or 3 store. And I think of sporting goods in three different buckets, but they can combine together. And you'll know the buckets. One's kind of the team sports store that's going to be more, shoes, team gear, stuff like that. The other one's more the outdoor, sportsman store, fishing, hunting, that piece. And then the third one's really more that, that hiking, biking, kayaking kind of store. And so all these seem to be logical within here. It's a big growth or big opportunity number. And then the next slide. So specialty retail is a bucket that catches a lot. All these are based on NAICS codes. If you're familiar with them, National North American Industrial Classification System codes. Specialty retail includes things like upcycled merchandise. It includes gift stores. It includes art stores. It includes a lot of different really specialized categories. This is a lot of what we see in a downtown is this specialty retail. 34 million in leakage, 6.8 million potential capture rate. That's 6 to 8 more stores. And so even as we stand now, and I see that as a big important piece of this, look at the demand growth too in these same categories. 8.6 million by 2030. I'm very bullish on this opportunity. I see this manifesting itself in communities in different ways. It can be independent stores that are kind of what we were used to. It can be micro retail that we see. And I think this matches what you all are looking at with some of your planning on maker spaces and things like that. The other thing I'm seeing a lot of is kind of that emporium concept where it's multiple vendors under one roof and there's a single point of sale. So all those I see as potential here. It's an exciting one to look at. And then I think the next one is kind of our tour de force here. This was the one where I had to sit down. No pun intended. 61 million on dining and drinking places. Look at this, a third of that growth by 2030 at only 20% capture. And this is sacrificing, 80% of that leakage to other parts of the trade area. I'm looking at up to 12 restaurants in this category. And by and large, these are restaurants that are sit-down restaurants, not drive-through style restaurants. That's where the leakage is strongest. And so the fact that Old Town already has a cluster of dining establishments, the location is prime. It just really centers you all, as you think about this, into these districts, these core area districts, as being a specialty place for shopping and dining. And then the next slide, I think, is kind of a wrap up. So we're knocking Norfolk off the table. Just looking really at you all, a little bit. I mean, some of Suffolk as well, and a little bit of Chesapeake, of course. We're looking at a pretty big retail leakage, and I love this: 12 restaurants, 8 storefronts in specialty retail, clothing, home furnishing, sporting goods, 6 specialty food stores, maybe 1, maybe 2. I'm very excited about these numbers for you all. This was the most robust opportunity that we saw. And please do not think of this retail gap as you all lacking. It's just within this trade area, there's opportunity to continue to grow the successes you're already working on. So with that, I'm happy to answer any other questions you all have.
I guess what I gather from this is that our strength is really small, personalized shopping. That it's not necessarily trying to get the big name retailers, but we have the kind of experience where people can go in. It's small, individual discussions on what you might like. I think that's a unique characteristic that you don't find in Norfolk or Virginia Beach, and I think it's something that we could really exploit in downtown Portsmouth.
I couldn't agree with that statement more. I don't ever want to roll out national retailers, but in districts like Old Town and the cores of cities, this is where the creative class nourishes small business. And what I love about it is it provides opportunity for citizens of Portsmouth to really engage. So rather than, and look, I'm all for recruiting national retailer. It sounds great, but my money is on the independent retailer in districts like these. And as y'all continue to expand, I think this drives what y'all are do in your innovation district planning.
I was just sitting here thinking about some of the sporting opportunities. We have a long legacy in 757 of athletes that have come from this area, but there's no place that you can go where you have an athlete generated retail store. You know, it would be great for us to maybe try to solicit some of those names to see if they would be interested in opening up a sports type store that, you know, reflects some of the athletes that have been here. I think it's quite a list of
I
athletes.
love that idea. Yeah, that's a cool idea. And I love that idea of thinking regionally too, is while, you know, you all do have that flexibility of your location. I think that's important.
Well, general question. Of course, I'm not surprised at the leakage. As a consumer here, we kind of knew, you know, we didn't know the numbers, but we knew the leakage, that there was leakage. My question is the amount of land that we're talking about developing to, I guess, when you take out what we want to do for residential, does the amount that is needed correlate with that? Do you understand what my question is?
It's great. Yeah. It's a great question. It was a great question. I really focused on Old Town, and I'm doing a supply side summary. On a deeper dive, I'd probably want to look at like a broader area and do the supply side analysis as well. If that makes sense? This was a snapshot I did for Retail Alliance, so you know, or on behalf of them, and so that would be probably a good next step. And I'm actually having some conversations about doing that in Hampton with regard to residential because they're struggling to get some residential in the core.
Yeah, so I would just add to Tripp's comments, and for economic development and working with the Portsmouth Partnership and the Retail Alliance, this is really providing us with a firm understanding of where the opportunities lie. So what we're now working to do is kind of create a blueprint, a roadmap for how we go out and target each of these various retailers. So we've already taken the first step, which is to identify vacant retail locations in Old Town. So staff Julie has gone and done a full inventory of vacant spaces. And we're now looking to contact property owners to see which spaces, if they're not listed, are available. And then we're going to be working with Retail Alliance through their Catalyst program to begin engaging with the business community to start filling those vacancies. So this is telling us, you know, who we really need to go out and target. And we'll be using this, you know, working with our partners to do that. So this information is very insightful. I think it really is showing us where the opportunities lie. And I think for some of these, we found that we have a few of these similar types of retailers in Old Town, in our community now. It's showing that there's greater demand than what we're providing to not just Portsmouth, but really to the region and the specific market area that Tripp's identifying.
Brian, when you talk about Old Town vacant spaces, can you just help me understand it? Is that a space that there's nothing there? Is that a space where they're using it for storage, or is it a space that is not what it was intended?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So what we've done is we've analyzed the currently listed and available commercial spaces in Old Town, specifically Old Town. But looking at those commercial real estate listings, we've realized it's not all encompassing of what appears to be vacant spaces in Old Town. So staff, we've gone out and we actually looked at properties, actually walking the district, identify properties that appear to be vacant, even those that are not currently listed with a real estate agent. And we've then worked to identify why they appear vacant. In some cases, you have a property owner that has decided not to yet market their property, but there are vacant appearing spaces that are actually being used for storage or other business uses that we're not aware of. So we're working to figure out which space is actually made available for lease. I think we've got a fairly good grasp on that to the point where we're actually reaching out to the property.
Did we look at vacant properties that can be repurposed? For instance, like churches, some of them that are just vacant, they can be repurposed for something.
Yes, we looked at all vacant spaces in the district.
Do we know like an estimate of the available square footage available for existing properties?
We do. We were able to obtain that through our GIS, our building system at the city. So we have that information. I don't want to quote square footages here because I don't want to give you inaccurate information, but we do. So we know individually and overall how much vacant space we have.
I love hearing all this. Sounds like you're really doing that supply side piece on the ground there.
Any other questions for Trip?
Trip, it's good to have you on board, and hopefully we can, work with you on an expansion of this effort.
Would love to. Good seeing you, Neil. Good seeing you all. Have a great morning.
Thanks again, Trip.
Next up, financials.
Ms. Pogue, and I think everybody's received a printed copy of the quarterly financial report that Ms. Pogue will present. I think we've also got a digital version that we're going to pull up on the screen that you can follow along with as well.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Just want to make a note that this is not July. This is June. For the fourth quarter ending June 30th, 2025. Our next report will be October, where we'll do first quarter of FY26. Okay. So for the period ending June 30th, we have about 7.4 million in cash in between our bank accounts. We have 1.9 million in accounts receivables. We still have the hotel land at 1.2 million. We ended quarter four with about 12.6 million in property held for sale. We have 970,000 in liabilities to pay, and includes AP, grants payable, and a deposit of some land that we ended the fourth quarter with a net position of 20 million, which is a decrease in 940,000 from last year. The second slide is basically our statement of revenues and expenses. Our total operating revenue, we had a deficit of 571,000 due to the losses that we incurred with some of the properties that we sold this year. Our operating expenses for fourth quarter was around 317,000. We still have about 468,000 in grants that we have approved. So this is what we paid out. So this year we paid out 468,000 worth of grants. And again, our net position was 20,376,000. This slide right here is the year-to-date budget report, which shows what we budgeted versus what we actually brought in. And again, we, had about a 940,000 decrease from last year. This slide right here is a list of all the properties we had, left held for sale as of June 30th. Which total about 12.6 million. The next slide is showing the gains and losses on the properties that we sold. And that was 751,000. This slide right here, I didn't print it because it was so small to capture, but it just shows the grants from 2024 and 2025 that we still have approved but not paid out. So that number is 205,000 combined. This slide right here, which again, it was so small to print, shows the amount of grants that we have paid out during FY 25, and that number is 468,000. Any questions? And I do want to make note that we just closed out our fiscal year on Friday, so some of these numbers will change, but you will get the final FY 25 report when the auditors present.
$125,000 for parking at the hotel.
Yes, that's the rent revenue.
Has that ever went up? Seems like it's been 125 ever since.
Yeah, it never changes. I think it's about 10,416 a month.
Did it go up?
Yeah, it's one of the contractual obligations of the development agreement for the Renaissance Hotel. So that's an annual lease payment that was negotiated at the time.
Forever? I mean, I'm just curious, but I mean, they're running like, what, 90% occupancy, 85% occupancy? They haven't really good.
Yeah, I think it's in the long-term lease with funds, this year's 50 years.
And I won't be around for the rest of Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pope. Our apologies on the typo there with the
It's okay.
dates, but thank you for clarifying the reporting period as well.
I do have a comment though. I think that I'm really happy to see all these figures and all, but I also think that it's gonna make us take a deep dive on our losses. We know why we had the losses in the properties, but we obviously can't lose in properties and give out as much money in grants and different things. I think we have to reevaluate that when we talk. Because what is our priority for the next year? That's what we're gonna have to look at. Because sometimes the loss in profit is because that's what we want to balance, that's what we need for right now. So I do understand that, but you gotta balance it out.
The whole business.
Yes, we have some property updates. This property is going to provide you with a few of those, which are in the Link Innovation District. Really? It's yours.
Good morning, everyone. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful weekend. So for 1028 High Street, the bid package is still in the procurement office. We are working to have that posted for bid as soon as possible. We did talk to Public Utilities who recommended that we go ahead and contract with a plumber to get the sewer and water lines capped, as that will facilitate the process once we do have a contractor in place for the demo. So that's all I have for 1028 High Street. For 1117, we are in a similar place. The bid package is with procurement. We were notified that the environmental abatement for the asbestos survey that we had was needed to be updated for the renovation. So we do have an additional cost to update the plans with specifications for renovating the building rather than previously, I think the plan was to demo the property. So there's a little bit of difference in the abatement specifications that are needed. So we are hoping to have that finalized with the contractor and get out for bids as soon as possible. And then for 1220 High Street, you guys voted on approving the $33,485 proposal to draft the construction documents for the renovations to the exterior of the building, as well as the roof, the replacement of the roof. Procurement is now requiring each project that goes out for bid to include a cost estimate for the work prior to it being put out for bid. So there is an additional $4,619 cost to obtain that. Just wanted to keep you all informed of that. The proposal for executing the construction documents is still being routed and is awaiting signature from the city manager. And in anticipation of the renovations for 1220 High Street, we did engage with a consultant to identify whether an update or an asbestos survey and specifications would be needed for this renovation, and they did inform us that the age of the building would necessitate that. And so far, or just for the survey for the exterior and the interior, we received a proposal for $1,100 to complete that. So we will be executing that. And that is the report for 1220 High Street.
The cost estimate for work, is that something new?
Yes, there's several new requirements that the procurement office is putting in place, and that is one of them is so that I think before we get the bids back, that we have a ballpark number of where they should come in at, where the cost should come in.
Julie, I know that some of these projects have gone on for some time. Is there anything that we as an EDA can do to help you in expediting the project?
I wish, but I think that we've been in dialogue with all the various departments that are involved, and that's how we got the suggestion to expedite the sewer and water capping. I think that's going to save us a lot of time. But as far as I know, I think that we're chugging along. It's going to happen.
Maybe a question for the city manager. I mean, I would think that they have some standards. We'll say that it could take X amount of days for approval on a project. If it's not done within whatever that standard is, then there should be some explanation as to why the delays. I know that's not something we could do, but if they're not doing that, maybe we could at least try to influence city manager to do that, because 120 days, I think, is what you had on the slide from the day they receive it until it actually starts construction, that's a long time. And we're not talking a major facility here. We're talking about a coffee shop, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to slight them. I'm just saying that if we're gonna get the Link District moving and the projects that we want to get done, there needs to be a little more speed. I'm addressing the wrong person, and I know that, but.
Yeah, well, I understand completely.
We have been working through many processes of trying to bring these projects to fruition. There has been, I think, considerable progress recently, and I'm confident we're close to being through those processes. You know, the purchasing office has had some turnover staffing wise. So we added, I think, 2 new members to that division. There was a new director, purchasing officer. They have implemented some policies and procedures, which we learned and working through those, which have added some additional time. This has been a learning experience for our team. But I think we figured out what those processes are now. So as we move through the additional projects, we have a firm understanding from the beginning what the requirements are so that we can try to do our part to expedite. But I feel we're close on these 3 that we're near the end of the process.
At least the first 2, the 1220 High Street, I think from happening. It's good a little bit long.
But I still say that you have to have some standards of delivery. That when we do a project, we should expect at least a minimum of X amount of days. If it's not done within those days, then there should be some reasonable explanation as to what the delays are. And then we can kind of address that going forward to try to speed up that process. And I appreciate what you're saying. And I'm sure we're making some progress, but the number of projects that we have, we need to have some idea that it's 60 days is the minimum for something to go through procurement or whatever that number may be. So,
I do, for this project, I do believe that we're still on track to meet the projected completion dates.
Okay.
So, believe that. I mean, I hope that we beat these completion dates, but, just it is on track right now, so.
And there's still no tentative date for demolition for 1028 High Street.
Correct.
I think when we met in July, because we're going down a different path, we were looking at a kind of a already pre-contracted process. I think we said that 30 days was what we were targeting to have the building demolished.
Okay.
So we're 30 days into that.
Okay.
90-day time.
So that's what October.
Okay, sure. I have one more report for 934 High Street. As we discussed in the July meeting, the environmental reports did come back indicating that there were not hazardous levels of contaminants. So we did proceed with the closing of the property. And the closing date was August 14th with a purchase price of $400,000. So this is very exciting. We will now work to create a plan for what to do with the property and include, we want to make sure we're on a timeline so that we can get this project moving along as well. So, very exciting.
Did we close?
We did. Okay. Yeah, we closed
The 14th.
14. So just on the 8th.
You got it.
thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
Okay. So your next item is your small business loan program. And on the theme of progress, I think we're making some progress here. You all have been talking about standing up this program for the last year. And I'm pleased to say that today we have to move forward in doing so. An RFP for the administrator vendor to implement the program was issued last November. And that RFP closed on December 20th. We did receive three responses to the RFP. You can see they're listed here: AGH Advisory Services, Bridging Virginia, and Fund First Incorporated. So those three proposals were reviewed by an evaluation panel consisting of city staff, which was myself and Bailey, and EDA commissioners, Vice Chairman Barber and Commissioner James participated in that as well. We interviewed all three of the respondents and ranked and scored each proposal. Bridging Virginia's proposal was determined to be the most qualified and responsive of the three. You can see there, this is for their proposal and administering the loan fund of $250,000. There's a $100,000 annual administrative fee. You have budgeted in your budget for the year $125,000 for this program for its administration, so they're coming in under what you had earmarked. Their proposals a 1 year commitment with 4 options for renewals. So that would be a total of a 5-year kind of contract term. What we are looking for today is for your consideration and approval to move forward with Bridging Virginia, so that we can begin kind of ironing out the details as far as the actual launch of the program itself. But basically, to move forward with executing a contract with Bridging Virginia.
Just a comment, as you all are aware that, this has been in process for a considerable length of time. And again, this is one of those efforts that, halfway through the process, we had some changes in the procurement process, and that always delayed it even further. And I'm just pleased that we're at the stage where we are now, which we do have a preferred vendor to conduct the program, and that we can move forward with this during this calendar year. I will need to recuse myself since I was on the review panel at the voting today, but I hope that the board will consider moving forward with this very important project.
A motion, we accept it and move forward with it.
That's that.
It's been a long time coming, like Dale said, and spinning your wheels in the dirt. So we finally got something that we give us some traction. Let's go.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion before I read the roll? Hearing none. Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Barber.
Abstain.
Thank you. Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yeah.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Carrie is absent. Mr. Harmon.
Yes.
Here, the item is approved by a vote of 4-0. Thank you.
You just see a lot of local businesses benefit from this program we got here.
Okay. Moving on to your next item, I think we've got some additional progress to report here as it relates to some procurement matters. And that is for the Waterfront Development Real Estate Consulting Services RFP, which was issued earlier this year. That went out on February 24th and closed on March 31st. 6 responses to the solicitation were received. AECOM, BAE Urban Economics, Benchmark, the Concord, Wakefield, and JLL all submitted proposals. Each of those proposals was reviewed and scored by a city staff led evaluation panel. We conducted interviews with the 3 highest ranking consultants, which consists of AECOM, Cushman Wakefield, and JLL. And it was determined that AECom, was the most qualified and responsive, proposal that was received. The proposed fee amount from AECom is $169,610. That is based on the proposed number of in-person meetings and their time allocation for the project. We were to request anything kind of specific beyond what they're proposing, there would be an additional fee associated with that on an hourly rate, which has been negotiated. But this is what they have provided to us for a turnkey delivery for the issuance of a two-phased approach for development interest solicitation. They are on standby, ready to move forward. Once we have approved this item and gone under contract, they're able to do a kickoff as early as early September. So engaging the stakeholders with the project.
Will,
Yeah, go ahead.
will we be familiar with any of AECOM's past projects?
So yes, you will. And so AECom was the firm that did the market analysis for the Crawford-based site. So you've met with them. They've done work here in Portsmouth. They're very familiar with the project. In terms of other work that they've done, two great examples, the Diamond District project in Richmond, where the Flying Squirrels baseball team is located. They were one of the team members for that redevelopment project. And another project is one in downtown Greenville area, which we're actually going to be touring this week. So they have, work throughout the country, but those are really, I think, two good examples that compare to, our opportunity. So some familiar faces for those of you who participated in the documents.
Given the priority of this project for the city and for the EDA, I would make a motion that we accept the contract or entering contract with AECom.
I second Neil's motion.
So motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the matter? Hearing none, Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Barber,
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
and Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Here, the item is approved by a vote of 5-0. Your next item is a follow-up on some EDA retreat action items. So I'm going to move through these fairly quickly. I think we've touched on a few already. The first is waterfront development. And obviously, we just agreed to move forward with the consultant, but you'll see a number of the other things that were identified as priorities coming out of your retreat are underway or have been completed. Of course, we do now have a project committee consisting of 2 members of the city council, chair and vice chair of this commission, as well as city staff. And the RFP now will allow for us to begin the engagement with the consultant in preparing the solicitation package. We are still working through some parking planning to address the need for parking both for the public, but also for Harbor Tower. And then working with our partners there at HRT, Tidewater Yacht, and making sure that they're engaged throughout the development process. Staff has met with the city of Norfolk's team, the resiliency team on the flood wall impacts, and we've got information from them at the city engineering. So the next item that needs to occur is a cooperation agreement, MOU perhaps between the EDA and city of Portsmouth, really kind of outlining the roles, responsibilities, and that would include opportunities for cost sharing for some of the expenses associated with the project. So we'll be working with the city attorney's office to move that item forward. Are there any questions before we move on? If we go to the next slide. So the Lake District, we've been making progress here as well. I think if you haven't been for down High Street here recently, I encourage you to take a trip. The 1,000, 1,100 blocks are pretty active right now. And really are kind of transforming the landscape in the district. And obviously we've got our projects right around that are getting ready to get started. One of the things that we talked about is branding, and we've got Peter Flagola here from Marketing and Communications who's going to share an update on that. The other items are kind of a work in progress. We're expecting on the zoning to have the planning department back in September to engage with the EDA to get your input on the zoning ordinance rewrite. And then we are following the RAISE grant. I believe that contract has been secured for the grant funding, and they're now in the process of bringing in an engineering firm to do the design. So I'm going to turn it over to Peter, who has an update on the branding. We've got some pretty exciting things to share with you as we prepare to move forward with that initiative. Peter, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You have full. Yeah, thank you, man. Again, I am Peter Glagola. I am the Director of Marketing and Communication for the City of Portsmouth and part of the team that is working on the creative for Link and other projects in Portsmouth. The other members of the team, of course, are members of the Economic Development Department and our agency known as Davis. They're located in Virginia Beach. So it's a very close working relationship where we're talking about different aspects of creativity on what are we going to do with this Link district. So are you moving forward or not? All right. That jumped in.
Yes. Okay. I don't want to sound bad. Okay.
All right. Yeah. All right. So Link, as you remember, launch, innovate, network, create. I want to go back a little bit to when Z was here and just explain the name again, just for the people who haven't heard it or people that are viewing this meeting today online. The Link, it's where connections become catalysts and the gaps between access and opportunity are bridged to link people, ideas, and industries and launch a new era of inclusive innovation in Portsmouth. This is what we're driving at. Thank you. As you remember, where did the Link name come from? The district is named Link in reference to the link it provides to entrepreneurs, small businesses, and connections it creates between the city's two major economic centers. The spelling does use INC Incorporated as a nod to our ultimate goal of bringing in the business communities. And also the tagline or the letters that create the acronym, not tagline, of Launch, Innovate, Network, and Create. It also pays tribute to Lincolnville, Portsmouth's first community for freed African Americans that was established in the mid-1800s. And was home, of course, to IC Northam. I better not say of course, because there might be graduates here that will take me to task for that. So what I want to do today is go over two directions we have for our symbol or our logo of this district. The next slide. So the approach that we take as our team, we want this to be modern and innovative. This is a space for creators. We want to be welcoming, inclusive, and accessible to people who come to this area. It is a logical step for Portsmouth. And we want to position the district as a place to thrive and bring our communities together. So this is going to be two options of a potential logo. And thank you for being my sounding board for these, because I do welcome any type of input. So the first logo or image we're going to see is an image, or imagine a place where momentum flows. Ideas connect and innovation embraces inclusivity. That's the spirit behind the link. This new visual identity captures that energy. It links each letter in a bold, colorful rhythm that hints at what's possible when people, places, and purpose come together. So the first one we have that I'd like you to see today is the link. Go to the next slide too, how this image could be used, both in reverse, black and white color. Next one. How it could be used on t-shirts and apparel. And then again, what people sometimes call pageantry, which are banners and signs down the streets. So that is option one. So the second option or logo, this option is strong and dimensional with a sharp architectural feel that hints at momentum and growth. Vivid accents add energy and direction, while each letter stands tall. This is a nod to the district's stable, forward-thinking foundation. So the second one today is the link. That is the reverse image. Go to the next one, please. So this is another possibility of our visual or logo, adding color to it. Next slide. Again, apparel, pageantry, and then don't go to the next slide, but these are the two that I'd like to show people today as a direction for our visual identity for this district. So I'd like to open it up for comments now for the EDA committee. If you're leaning one way or another, if you don't like any of them, if something doesn't make sense.
It's a question, the colors that were selected, was there any rationale for that?
Oh, so you want me to break into how we do this? Is there a rationale? Yeah, if they're all on the same color wheel. Again, it is parts, I mean, you pick the colors to drag your eyes to certain elements of this. Whether we sit there with a formula and say, okay, if you're gonna have lime green and orange and blue, you're gonna have to go this direction. So answer to your question is no, those colors could be any colors you wish. Yes, sir, Mr.
I
Mitchell.
personally like logo one. I like it because the colors seem to indicate that there's a linkage with everything.
Mhm.
I think to me personally, it's more visually appealing. And it just is much bolder.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Harmon.
Logo one, the C is kind of throwing me.
It would be a E.
It reminds me of an E.
E.
Correct.
So
Which could be-
a potential font issue here.
Yeah,
Okay.
just looking at it at a
No,
glance.
no,
Looks like blind.
that's very, very important. Thank you. That's why it's good for a lot of different people to see these, to see subtleties in them. Yes, sir.
I like, the logo one as well, but the circles at the top and bottom, because of the strength of the color, tends to dominate rather than dominate the image rather than having the link be the dominant feature.
So yeah, so you're saying reading link is more difficult due to the dominance of those three colors that are on top and on the bottom. Okay.
I like number one as well.
Uh-huh.
I like that one of I guess the playfulness of it, and I think you can do more with it with other things that you're gonna imprint it upon.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun.
That was one reason we put it in the apparel as well, is that, we just took the color imagery and put it on a t-shirt. Down the road, you're gonna need people to recognize this. So before you can create a t-shirt with three, little loops on them, people have to know what it is. Anything else?
I
Yes, sir.
actually am leaning to logo two.
Okay.
because of the boldness of the letters, the font, and also the launch, innovate, network, create. With this being a new area, you're gonna have a lot of people that are not going to know exactly what are you encompassing. The only thing is, I still like the cursive of the first presentation
Okay.
on the INC,
Right.
just to lean into the incorporation part. But I'm actually into logo too. Logo one is nice, but I feel like it's it looks anonymous.
Okay.
It can be placed anywhere. It doesn't have any signature piece to Portsmouth.
Any other? Yes, sir.
This is just a follow. Is this gonna be a open source type logo?
Meaning anyone can have it?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, it will be copyrighted so that no one can use it. Once we, find out the direction we want to go. Sorry,
Well, the RVA logo in Richmond.
Mhm.
It gained its popularity and prominence because it was an open source logo.
I mean, we can look at that. So, nothing's off the table.
Okay.
So there are different ways you can go with that approach.
I think this is a good opportunity to get citizen involvement. I mean, and by way of, letting them see, which one, what does this spark in you?
Okay.
And then that way you're telling them what's coming on, what's going on and what it stands for. So,
That sounds a bit, it's a good direction to go as well.
Listening, I think, Mr. Harmon always makes good points. Yeah. It's almost like to me, maybe two phases. I love logo one, but logo one doesn't define what link is.
Mhm.
It's almost like two phases. Is there a phase one that kind of emphasizes the definition of link? And then as it becomes more familiar with people, another logo that kind of, now you know what it is easier to understand. It seems like there needs to be some type of connection. I
So a
think.
metamorphosis down the road.
Yeah.
And is there a way to possibly incorporate a sale where the N is in logo two that incorporates a part of the Portsmouth sale?
That's a possibility. And the reason I say that is because this actually is considered a sub-brand of Portsmouth. So right now, our brand is the city of Portsmouth and Salem.
Right.
This is a sub-brand of that. You gotta look at clutter to make sure that it does not detract from the purpose and recognition of it. But yes, you can screen different items into a logo and you can't go too small. Because if it's so insignificant, you put it on a pen, you're not gonna see it.
Right.
So, there are some triangles in here. I should not say, there are some triangles here that you could incorporate a sale. So again, these are, these are thoughts right now. These are two very distinct logos. The reason I'm presenting them today is this one does not state what it is. Link is, this one does. We've been looking through a lot of renditions of what is our symbol here. So these, even though there's some similarities, these are very two different approaches. And a lot of times going back and, looking at something, redesign is where you get the best image possible. Not saying totally redesign, but I like going to the residents of Portsmouth. What do they think? Do a survey online that shows different ones. You get a lot of feedback that way. You also can tell the story of, what link is. You can advertise, oh, there is a district going up now in Portsmouth. So showing it to the public can help advertise also that we have this now and we are moving forward. Yes, sir.
What is the schedule move forward?
As we will get direct, once we get together and say, okay, this is our image, then we move forward with advertising, any type of art, gates to the entrances. So we are ready to start as soon as the final decision on the logo is made. So there won't be much time between that and you'll start seeing it everywhere. Because they're bulldozers. I saw them this morning, so things are moving, buildings are being built, buildings are being bought, repurposed. We need to get this out.
Well, Joe, I kind of was thinking initially, Joe, how you were thinking about it. But the only reason why I didn't go with that, because I was kind of in my mind, when you see logos, you don't necessarily see what it stands for. You see a logo and you say, you know that's what it stands for. I don't know how you make that connection, but when you look at logos of businesses, it doesn't spell it out normally.
Well, the
that's
Nike
why-
swish is a great example.
Yeah.
You see the swish, you know exactly what company it
Yeah,
is.
so I don't know how you make that connection, but. Mhm.
It takes a little bit of time. But yes, sir.
I like little too, because to her point, I think you have to train people to understand what link stands for. So I think, maybe initially starting, you could start with having the words underneath. The first one, kind of like it, but I was sitting here thinking, like, to me, it looks familiar. It looks like the Link Industries at the corner of Airline and Victory Boulevard. But I see that's the first thing that comes to my mind. But this one, I do like the presentation from the state of the city with the green, things like green and different shades of green.
Yes.
I like that. But the second one to me, it defines what it is. And hopefully as time goes on, maybe the words can be removed. But I think initially it's good to have the words.
Yes, sir.
So one question, it's a little bit outside of the logo, but what are the plans to pay homage to the African American community? Are there, I assume there are people still around who were here when it happened. Are we going to try to interview those folks and then at some point figure out how to use those tapes?
Yes, we're gonna move forward more with the research on Lincolnville. What was it? Where exactly it was? Is there anyone still living that we can interview? Again, that can reside on web pages, so that when you're going to this, you always have the example of, well, what is the history of this? Some people just want to go to the page real quick, what's at this location, and they're out. But then you have the people who really want to kind of delve into, what is this place? That's where you have your histories and you can have videos of what it represented back in the 1800s. Yes, sir.
Going off of Teresa's idea of community involvement, it might be a good idea to let some high school students come up with some logo examples and logo ideas to present to the city, and let's select from them. I know you're a professional, I'm not taking anything away from you and but creativity, that way the word about what the district is getting out there. We need an idea, we need a logo built for this new district that's connecting these things together, and we're giving school age kids the opportunity to come up with the logo. So I think the mermaid or something was created by a kid or something, right? One of those other city logos.
Sure, where the mermaid or beehive, or
Yeah.
as you're looking at the different cities, their symbol came from. That's a possibility. It is creating a logo from kind of a group setting versus for a group that's trying to create something that is going to help, with commerce, et cetera. It's a route you can go. It's a dangerous route because you may or may not get anything out of it. And if you have to choose from that pool.
What you get out of it is you get community engagement out of it. So you're gonna always get something out of it. Whether you get a logo that you're gonna select, that's something different. But by the time that you hold the event and let the people in on it, then these could be resolved. If you're gonna just still use these, whatever, but to get the community involvement, I think that would be a good idea.
All right, thank you.
A lot about Lincolnsville is in the Norcom archives. And like you say, that with the community involvement, if you tell it what it's a homage to that as well, then, and give people an ability to make comments, they may tell you things that you can use.
Feedback.
No, this is excellent. No, thank, I mean, this is exactly what I need to hear, so that we move ahead and we can, go to launch point. So, I do appreciate anybody else have anything else, but this was great, great feedback today. And, I thank everyone for, kind of being the sounding board on the first draft of a direction.
One last question.
Yes, sir.
So even the marketing for this will begin to happen even before the raise grant and all of that and.
Yes, I mean, we need to start, we're creating web pages and everything now. It's just not gonna, we don't have a logo on top of it, but we have to start creating all of this. Because we don't want to be behind the curve on it. We need to get this place 100% built out. That's the goal, correct?
Will there be any, street signs or something that as a person, I'll know when I'm in the Lake
Yes,
District?
yeah, that's part of coming into the district, into the Link District, that you're entering it from either side or from the, the side streets as well.
Yeah.
So that's all part of deploying the image. All right, thank you all.
Peter. Great work. We'll stay tuned for updates.
Sharing that with us.
Okay, we're gonna move on to, the entertainment district, which is the next action item. Just a really brief update on the, entertainment district. So obviously the, hotel has been announced, they're scheduled to break ground, I'm told, this month. Permits have been issued and, we are working with, Rush Street, in fact, working to set up a meeting with them and their development team to actually talk about, land use that would be, compatible with the casino, on remaining EDA land. So, those conversations, have been started. We're gonna have an actual meeting with their team to begin planning process. I do believe there's a desire to have a market analysis done to see what types of uses would not only be compatible, but what uses would be in demand. So we're going to be looking at that as part of the discussion. Okay, just a couple other old business items to touch on. Do have some updates. The versus the Portsmouth Business Emergency Preparedness Seminar. I'm going to ask Mr. Bauman and Ms. Golston to give you guys an update on something that just occurred last Friday. Charlie?
Yeah, that's right. Sonny, if I may, just tee this thing up, Mr. Chairman, members of the authority. The next two activities are attempt to increase the tempo of our public outreach, especially with our identified business segments, but also with other timely information we feel benefit the business community. So the first example, we joined with our emergency services team to put together exactly as it says, business emergency preparedness seminar that was held this past Friday here at Police Headquarters Auditorium. And that was to invite as many people as we can get into that room over there and have our emergency services folks share with them how to prepare. Can businesses prepare for adverse weather conditions or national disasters? But more importantly, how can they recover quickly and working with the city and other state and federal agencies if there was a much more serious event. So I was out of town Friday, but Sonny was leading that charge. How many folks do we have?
We had 3 people register. And like usual, we had half of that done, so we had 15 people come to the event. We had Anna from the Office of Emergency Management for the City of Portsmouth came. She was leading the charge. She also had a gentleman from the National Weather Service, Wakefield, come and present, as well as NASA. I do have the presentation that they presented available if you guys would like me to send it out. I can do that for you guys. Very good event, very good information. They talked about the trends in weather that's been going on, how it's gotten worse So pretty much this workshop was like a warning, especially because there is a hurricane out, that's on our horizon. I think there was an emergency that was placed this morning for North Carolina, so we should be expecting some rain coming soon. And I just gave them a website to go on to make sure that they're tracking the weather. It's one thing for us to give them the information, it's another thing to make sure that they're prepared, and they have the resources to make sure that they're ahead of the game when it comes to any weather emergencies that come into play. So very good feedback from the people that participated in the event. And I think this is something that we're going to try to do quarterly, just to make sure that everybody is prepared for whatever may come.
Thank you very much. Then, and these aren't one-off events, as was indicated. We're going to do this on a consistent rotational basis with our identified industry segments, but also with other timely information. Maybe there's a different time of the day we do this next time in the evening so that other business folks
Absolutely.
can get there. The same perhaps with the retail industry roundtable, but I'll let Autumn just still update on what's happening today.
Good morning, everyone. We are hosting our second roundtable, retail roundtable. We currently have 26 individuals registered to participate, retailers in Portsmouth. So we've invited the Retail Alliance to speak about industry trends, just to keep the retailers aware of what's occurring in Portsmouth right now, and how to move their business forward to be profitable. We'll have a couple of exercises to keep them engaged, to get some insight on what their businesses are experiencing and where they would like to see their businesses go. Just so the city can be knowledgeable to what our retail needs are.
Thank you.
That's going to be happening here today at noon. If you're available and want to hang around, we welcome you to join us for that. Okay, thank you all. One other old business item, which is really just a reminder, the EDA City Council joint meeting will be occurring next Monday, August 25th. That's at 5:30. It will be in the City Council conference room there on the 6th floor of City Hall. Mr. Mitchell, I'm not sure if you have to want to share that.
I'll just hit some of the highlights that we're going to discuss. First off, we're going to go over the EDA initiatives, small business program and resources, which is our grant initiatives, how much we have spent in fiscal year 25. We'll talk a little bit about the new small business capital loan program, which we're excited about. And as most of you know, that was a concern that we've heard many, many times about access to capital. So I think we're very excited to be a part of that. We're going to probably review the Bloom Market pop-up that we started in 2024, which was an opportunity, as you know, for Portsmouth businesses to get some exposure. And then some of the key projects, which is the Crawford Bay waterfront development, the Lake District, and the Entertainment District. We'll address roles and responsibility of EDA-owned properties, Crawford Bay Phase 1, the timeline, Lake District, what's happening there, some of the housing that's going on in the downtown Portsmouth, and then a quick review of the Entertainment District, particularly as it relates to the land and when we'll have total ownership of it, as well as the things that we might be able to bring to the casino going forward. So should be a pretty engaging conversation. Hopefully everyone will be able to attend.
Any questions on that? Okay, if you're not going to be able to join us, please reach out to Script and just let them know that we together we'll have a quorum and healthy participation. Okay, sure, if it's okay to move on with the new business items. The first is a update on the FY24 and FY25 business investment grant recipient report, which we have prepared, and we'll have some information that I think Autumn's going to brief you all on. But I do want to just mention, Autumn brought to my attention the FY25 recipients The majority of those are still active, and under an existing business license, so we don't actually have an update on how many are in a, non-renewal state, because they're all essentially current. So, really, this is your FY 24 recipients, that you can see here on the screen. So I'm just gonna have Autumn just run through the 3 categories for the different programs, give you an update on where we stand.
Good morning again. A couple meetings, prior, it was a request placed for us to give a record of the current, licenses for our FY 24 grant recipients, which we do every year. So Brian, retrieved that record from the Commissioner of Revenue, and these are our current stats. So for our real property investment grant application, we had 21 grant recipients. Of those grant recipients, 11 are active business licenses. So that is the percentage, 52% currently have business licenses. Yes.
Autumn, since that program is open to, property owners, that the property owner may or may not have a business license, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that number, that's a great point you're making, something that we talked about. That number is a little bit misleading because it really is, kind of omitting some of those property owners. Some owners will have a business license depending on their, ownership and lease situation and how they are operating. And there are some that, so it is as accurate as we can be as in terms of anybody holding a license. But there are some that do not.
For FY 24, the business development grant applications, you received 56 grant. We awarded 56 grants for the business development. And 56 of those grant recipients, 25 have active business licenses, giving us a rate of 44%. For the business acceleration grant, we received 8. We provided grants to 8 individuals, and 7 of those business owners have active business licenses, putting us at 88% rate currently.
For those, particularly in the latter 2 categories that do not have a business license, have you been able to do any outreach to them to see if they're still in, if they've gone out of business or, they just failed to file or renew their license or whatever the reason might be?
Yes, Krista and I are currently reaching out to those businesses that did not renew their business license to identify the reason for not renewing. Many cases in the past, once we contacted them, they either didn't, they just let their license lapse, weren't aware that it expired, and then promptly renew them. So we're going to follow up with them to make sure they get their licenses renewed. And it could be a possibility that they did move their business out of the city. So we'll find the information out. Any other questions? And once we currently ended fiscal year 25, so in December, we'll circle back around and pull the same report and go through the same process, actually with that information for fiscal year 25. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Autumn. Autumn, if you just want to hang around, actually, because I think you've got the next one too. So, which is just an update on our current grant status for the first quarter of FY 26, which I think we've got a little limited activity, but we did want to share where we were. So, Autumn, I'll turn it back over.
Yes, so as stated previously, we recently closed fiscal year 25, went into fiscal year 26 this past July. So for our first round in fiscal year 26, we received 9 grant applications for this program. We are currently under review of those applications. So we will have more data for you the next meeting. So those 9 applications are currently under review.
For the Smart Start Business Acceleration Grant, we received 2 applications for this grant round, and those are also under review. Any questions?
I think we have one additional slide for the real estate grant, which you'll see, I probably remember last month, you had a number of applications, I think 12, to review and approve what you've done. And there's 2 more that Chris is going to present to you here in just a few moments, but we've actually had 17 that's received to date. So I would expect these funds to be depleted here very, very soon. Possibly by the end of this quarter, if not certainly next round. So, so with that, Chris, do you want to share the next 2 items?
Sir. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So this one will be sort of short and sweet. So as my caveat from last meeting, in order to keep the file short, EDA package short, we didn't include all of the files. If there's certain information, pictures, business license, contractor information, I do have that in the electronic files, and we can provide that upon request. So this is the first of 2. So 5911 Portsmouth Boulevard, ELAM organization owns this. What they're looking to do is expand their existing structure. They rent out like little individual salon suites, so they're going to be building more salon suites there, doing a little site work, and add kind of a little bit better some signage here as well. So that total project cost is $53,000. So they're coming in for the full $25,000 that we allow. So that one's pretty simple, straightforward. ELAM organization actually is a contractor themselves. We do have quotes from them and another contractor, but they are going to be self-performing their own work, and we've verified everything. They're on the up and up with that. Any questions on this particular one? Excellent, moving on. So this one is a little bit sort of set back, harder to see. The old Princess Fried Chicken right here on the corner, just past where the casino and our entertainment district is. So Styles and Cut School of Barbering and Cosmetology. They are doing a full-on renovation. You can see here, it's a $270,000 project. So that includes a ton of site work. You can see here, they're going to be improving a lot of that. And then they're going to be building out suites and schooling area and some salon stuff for the barbering and the cosmetology. I've gone through a lot of their documentation, everything's put together. And because of their total project cost, they again are also going to be looking to hit that full grant amount of $25,000. With these 2 added to the original slide you saw, I believe we are going to have a little over $43,000 left for the October round. So that could be potentially a handful of applications, or if we get some that, are looking for the full 25, we're going to be under that 50 by a little bit. So we'll hopefully we'll have some people, handful of applications to get us to that total. But we do have a little bit left, and we'll have an October grant round as well. So that's it for these 2. Does anybody have any questions?
Would you go back
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
first one?
Yes, ma'am.
again? Okay, so they're doing an office addition.
Yeah, so they're going to
Oh, okay.
expand the existing structure and kind of, so it wouldn't be necessarily considered a new construction project because it'd be an office addition or a building addition. Whereas we don't normally, if you were going to go in and build brand new from scratch, new construction is not an allowable item, but because there's an existing structure that they're going to expand onto, this falls into the allowable use.
Okay, so they are a construction company?
So the owner of this building does own, Mr. Lewis Elam owns a construction firm. But what they've done is they build out little individual suites. Like they've got a handful of like different salons and nail stuff kind of going on in that building. That's closer to kind of the Hodges Manor area, Portsmouth Boulevard. So Bubba and Frank's is right down the street, and then it's now something different. Raised Dogs is about another block or 2 up. So that is it from me. Thank you very much.
Well, we could vote on these as a package, correct?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we were around this.
Okay.
Yes, together.
I move to proceed with the grant funding.
Motion by Commissioner Barber and a second by motion by Commissioner Brown and a second by Vice Chair Barber. Is there any discussion on the item? Hearing none, I'll read the roll. Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Barber, Mrs. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
and Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Here, the item is approved by a vote of 5-0. That concludes our new business items. Chair, we do not have any closed meeting requirements today. So that brings us to items submitted by board members.
I just have one good, for consideration. I've been doing a lot of just trying to understand AI, what it's going to do in terms of jobs, what it's going to do in terms of future employment. But I think it's a unique opportunity if we understand that to get ahead of it in terms of what those jobs might look like. I would recommend that we bring somebody in to maybe give us a high level of what AI means, how it's going to impact city potential jobs, marketing, all of those things. But a lot of it seems to be around the ability to prompt some of these things. I think we can get ahead of that. We may play a leadership role in terms of potential jobs that may make a lot of sense, particularly in the labor industry.
That's great idea.
So a lot of questions. I think right now, just as a department, we're trying to figure out how we utilize AI to be more effective in our jobs. And in fact, we've got as part of our annual strategic planning process, our department for three, we're looking to get somebody to come in and talk to us about what types of programs we can utilize more efficient, effective. So we can look at see maybe who an appropriate individual, maybe kind of a leading expert is in this topic, and have them come in at a future meeting, maybe October, November, to come before you and talk about wide scale impacts of the AI. That's very something.
So, there's a study that came out. It was actually mentioned on the news today about AI having a negative effect on the brains of college students. So it's a study. I can't quote the exact, I think it was Cambridge, but I heard it in the background on the news today. My company does a lot of AI work with augmented reality, virtual reality, and some artificial intelligence, but relying on it totally, it's having an adverse effect on the human brain when you rely on artificial intelligence to do all your work for you. It kind of like steel sharpens steel, so you kind of like doling yourself down by allowing AI to do most of your thinking and just logical things for you. So it's something to look into, but that would be an interesting presentation.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think I was listening to a broadcast about it, and it was saying that it definitely, I think, will have somewhat a negative impact on our students, but it's one of those things like when the computers came and if you didn't embrace it in some way, then you were kind of left out of the situation. So I think it's coming, it's here, so we need to figure it out.
Just a comment, my son is in the IT field, and they have already employed it, and it has increased their productivity of their individuals that work for him probably by at least 50%. They used to, for doing coding and things of that nature, would take 2 weeks to do. They do in about 2 days now.
The machine does it for them. They're not doing it. The machine is doing it for them. So they wouldn't know how to do it on paper from their brain because they're relying on the machine to do it for them. No. They're losing an element of intelligence by allowing the machine to think for them in every aspect.
That is partially true, but they, at least in his firm, they don't allow the AI to do the complete work.
It's like a kid that relies on spell check all the time. They can't spell anymore because I'll just let spell check correct everything. But so they lose an element of being able to spell because the computer does it for them now. They just put a word in that's vaguely similar and the computer will make the correction for them, but they don't know how to do it themselves. So it has its drawbacks and its negative, I mean, and its pluses, but
I agree.
yeah, it's still something that people learn. It's been around for a long time. Like I said, my firm has been using it for years on training the military on how to do different things. So it's been around for years, but it's just.
Didn't want to go too deep into it.
When you started, you opened the Pandora's box every meeting. You opened the Pandora's box.
Yeah.
I asked Faith to make a copy of an article that two of my friends have put together on what they call convergent economic development, but it's really the intersection between community and economic development there at John Accordino and Courtney Mallory. I encourage you to read it. It has 3 case studies in there, one from Danville, Harrisonburg, and Culpeper. I think you might find the Danville case study really quite interesting. There. So those of you going on a trip tomorrow, you might have some time to read that on the way out.
I just have one more update. Regrettably, I have to announce that Matthew James will be resigning from the board, mainly because there was a conflict of interest. He is currently a board member on the Virginia retirement system. He was informed that he could not be on 2 boards, so he had to make a selection on one or the other, and he made a decision to stay with the Virginia retirement system. So we will be recruiting for another member here pretty soon. And it was a valuable addition to the board. He had a lot of insight. He will be certainly missed.
Question, the KFC at the corner of Chestnut and London. I know it's for sale, I think, but have we looked at possibly acquiring that property? With this proximity to the link, you know, we don't want this any old thing popping up there.
We have not looked at it. It is now being marketed. Everybody's aware that it has closed. And it is listed. We have not looked at that. It is within the boundaries of the district. Moving on, we have report backs. I do have an update, which is another individual that I'm sad to say we're losing here. In addition to Commissioner James, we're going to be losing one of our valued team members here this week. Kind of one of those bittersweet announcements, but Chris Tillett has accepted a position in Largo, Florida, and will be relocating with the palm trees and flamingos and all the wonderful things that are down on the Gulf Coast there to take a position with the mosquitoes.
Well, good. At least I can theoretically run a little faster than that. Don't have to outrun the bear, just outrun you, right?
So we're gonna miss having Chris. He's as you've all probably experienced, it's a really super positive influence on this team and really in the community. Made a number of impacts here locally since he's come on board. Always brings energy and enthusiasm to everything he does. So we're gonna definitely miss having him on board and on the team. And he's just a great person to work with too. So super nice guy. But we wish you the best of luck down in Florida. And hopefully when we're down there, we can stop in and visit with you. So maybe give us an excuse to take a trip to.
If I may, just because I want it on record since it's a public body. It's not, yeah, I struggled with the decision. My wife's always wanted to live in Florida. I kind of kicked the can down the road for about 17 years. She finally kind of came to me and said, hey, you know, the kid and I are moving. We'd love for you to come, but you don't have to. Had nothing to do. I mean, I love Portsmouth. It's probably my favorite place I've ever worked. We have this killer team, killer bosses. This has nothing to do whatsoever with the city. I imagined that this was gonna be the last place I was gonna work, but that has changed. So I wanted it on record. Portsmouth's been probably my favorite stop. I've had a lot of fun here. It's Portsmouth's time. I think what we've got going on over the next few years, it's really gonna be a catalyst for the change at Hampton Roads. And so like I said, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sad that I'm leaving, but again, I wanted to stay with the family, and so that was a decision that I had to make, but I thoroughly enjoyed working for everybody here.
Thank you. Thanks again for your service and always got a place here in your Virginia, because I know you've got family ties beyond your immediate household still here, so you won't be a stranger. Okay, that was the only other item that we have for you today. So with that, Chair, I think that concludes our chair.
Have a good evening, folks.